The year is 2026. For months, the global atmosphere has been tense. Grids in multiple countries have suffered unexplained outages. Conflicts simmer at sea lanes. Cyber attacks hit major corporations. Intelligence agencies quietly warn that multiple nations are raising their alert levels. Then, in early September, three events occur within just 48 hours. First, a sophisticated cyber attack shuts down sections of the European power grid. Second, a missile test in the South China Sea veers far off course, landing dangerously close to a U.S. destroyer. And third, an intelligence leak reveals that several nuclear-armed nations have moved warheads into immediate readiness positions. Each event alone would have caused anxiety. Together, they trigger the most dangerous chain reaction in modern history. Early warning satellites activate. NATO raises its alert posture. China mobilizes its naval assets. Russia disperses mobile nuclear launchers into forests. India reinforces its borders with Pakistan and China. North Korea brings its missile brigades forward. For the first time in decades, every nuclear power on Earth is preparing for possible war. Phase 1. The world divides. As tensions escalate, the world fractures into three blocks. The first is the Western Nuclear Coalition, consisting of the United States, the United Kingdom, and France. They are supported by Japan, South Korea, Australia, Canada, and NATO Europe. Their strategic objectives are to prevent escalation, secure global trade routes, and maintain air and sea dominance. Their strengths include advanced missile defense systems, powerful naval strike groups, stealth aircraft, and second-strike nuclear submarines. Their primary weakness is geography. They must protect multiple regions at once. Opposite them stands the revisionist nuclear alliance: Russia, China, Pakistan, North Korea, and Iran, a state believed to be nearing nuclear capability. Their doctrine is to pressure simultaneously across multiple regions, forcing the Western coalition to stretch its forces thin. Their strengths include vast missile inventories, large manpower reserves, and hardened launch systems. Their weakness is economic vulnerability, especially to naval blockades. And finally, there is India, a nuclear power too large to ignore, too strong to pressure, and too strategic to remain neutral. India's choices shape the conflict, even before the first shot is fired. Phase 2. First shots, no nukes. Nuclear wars do not begin with nuclear weapons. They begin with chaos. The first phase is cyber warfare. Global networks flicker, banks freeze, GPS signals degrade, military radars show false targets, ports shut down, drone swarms lose satellite links, internet routing splits into isolated regions. Nations cannot confirm who struck first, and uncertainty spreads faster than the attacks themselves. The second phase is long-range precision strikes. Hypersonic missiles hit fuel depots, radar stations, and command centers. Air bases are cratered. Missile defense batteries are overwhelmed by drones. None of these attacks use nuclear payloads. They are designed to blind, disorient, and weaken. The third phase unfolds at sea. U.S. carrier groups confront Chinese destroyers. Russian submarines deploy into the Arctic. British and French frigates escort tanker convoys. Australian submarines move into the eastern Indian Ocean. The oceans become high-risk zones. One misinterpreted radar lock could escalate the war instantly. On land, border mobilization accelerates. India and Pakistan deploy hundreds of thousands of troops. North Korea activates artillery along the DMZ. NATO armor advances toward Eastern Europe. Russia positions tactical missile brigades near key corridors. A conventional global war has begun, involving every nuclear state directly or indirectly. Phase 3. Doctrine and logistics take over. As the fighting intensifies, nuclear doctrines become more important than troop numbers. the United States maintains a posture designed for retaliation, supported by a powerful second strike submarine force. Russia's doctrine allows tactical nuclear use if the state is threatened. China maintains a no-first-use policy, but moves missiles to elevated readiness. India's doctrine promises massive retaliation, while Pakistan reserves the right to use battlefield nuclear weapons early. France and the UK maintain independent deterrence. North Korea signals willingness to strike first if threatened. These doctrines evolved separately. Now, for the first time in history, they are all active at the same moment. This alone makes escalation extremely dangerous. Meanwhile, modern warfare strains global logistics. Fuel depots burn, shipping convoys halt, microchip supply collapses, rail lines are destroyed, oil prices surge, satellites are jammed, armies rely on fuel, communication, precision munitions, and satellite guidance. As these systems erode, misinterpretation becomes more common, pushing nations closer to the nuclear threshold. Phase 4. The nuclear escalation ladder begins. Modern nuclear war theory describes an escalation ladder, a series of steps nations climb before a catastrophic exchange occurs. The first step is a demonstration. Russia and China conduct high-altitude nuclear tests over their own territory. These blasts produce electromagnetic pulses but avoid civilian casualties. The goal is signaling, a warning that further escalation is possible. The second step is nuclear force dispersal. Pakistan deploys short-range nuclear weapons to forward bases. India disperses nuclear-capable aircraft and relocates warheads to hardened shelters. Russia activates mobile launchers. China opens silo doors. NATO places dual-capable aircraft on alert. No one fires a nuclear weapon yet, but all nations prepare for the possibility. The third step is maximum alert. Submarines vanish into the oceans. Mobile launchers disappear into forests and tunnels. Bombers remain airborne with nuclear payloads. Command centers operate underground. All sides enter a posture where a single radar anomaly or communication breakdown could lead to an irreversible decision. This is the most dangerous moment humanity has ever faced. Phase 5. The first nuclear use, tactical and limited. Eventually, a conventional battle escalates beyond control. During a major armored confrontation near a disputed border, one side authorizes a low-yield tactical nuclear strike on a military formation. The explosion is small. The target is isolated. Civilian areas are avoided, but the crossing of the nuclear threshold changes the entire war. In response, another nuclear nation detonates a low-yield nuclear device in an uninhabited desert, what strategists call a demonstration strike. It is meant to signal capability without provoking retaliation. The world enters a state of extreme tension. Missile defenses activate. Warheads are moved into launch positions. Aircraft remain in constant rotation. Governments issue emergency alerts. Financial markets collapse. No strategic nuclear weapons are used, but global panic surges. Phase 6. Systemic collapse without strategic nukes. Even with limited nuclear use, the global system collapses rapidly. Food shortages emerge as fertilizer production halts and shipping lanes close. Countries dependent on imports face skyrocketing prices. Humanitarian crises spread across multiple continents. Communication networks fragment. GPS becomes unreliable. Civilian aviation is grounded. Internet infrastructure is attacked. Emergency communication systems fail. Energy markets collapse. Fuel rationing becomes mandatory. Refineries halt production. Power grids fail across several regions. Refugee waves intensify as millions flee active war zones. Borders close. Aid organizations become overwhelmed. The collapse occurs without strategic nuclear strikes. It is the consequence of modern societies being deeply interconnected. Phase 7. How the war ends. After months of devastation, nations realize that continued escalation risks crossing into uncontrollable nuclear warfare. 3 outcomes become possible. Outcome 1. Negotiated ceasefire. This is the most likely scenario. All sides recognize that full nuclear escalation would destroy their nations. Worn-out militaries, collapsing economies, and international pressure force negotiations. Front lines freeze. Limited nuclear use stops. Armies disengage. A fragile ceasefire emerges. The world enters a tense new era of distrust. Outcome 2. Regime collapse. A major nuclear state may suffer internal political failure, economic collapse, leadership breakdown, or military rebellion. Forces that nation to retreat and accept peace. The conflict ends abruptly, but the global order becomes unstable for years. Outcome 3. Strategic nuclear exchange. The least likely but most catastrophic scenario. A. Misinterpreted radar alert, unauthorized launch, or communication failure could trigger retaliation. If even 2 major nuclear states exchange strategic weapons, global civilization collapses. This scenario is unlikely, but its possibility keeps nuclear nations from escalating further. This is what a world war involving every nuclear power actually looks like. Not instant destruction, but a slow climb up an escalation ladder, driven by fear, confusion, and the collapse of modern systems. The most dangerous moments occur not when weapons are fired, but when frightened leaders try to guess what their rivals are about to do next. If you found this exploration interesting, consider subscribing for more in-depth scenarios and global conflict analyses.